This video is intended to give piano students a way to stretch and warm up your fingers, wrists, and arms. So first, let's just roll our wrists. And let's go the other way. And now let's clasp our hands together and interlock our fingers like so. And we're going to roll our wrists together like this. We're trying to keep our arms connected to each other and just roll around like this. I usually like to do them about 8 or 10 times and then switch the other direction. And then pulse your fingers a little bit. Squeeze really tight, open as big as you can. Squeeze really tight, open as big as you can. Squeeze really tight, open as big as you can. Do that a few more times. And this next one is my favorite, works the best for me because our muscles sometimes get really tight right here if we're playing too stiff on the piano. So take your hands and you're going to turn them upside down so that your fingertips are facing your knees, and put your hands on the ground like this. And then just sit. Make sure your bum is sitting on your feet and then stretch them out. You should feel the pull right here. If this hurts, you can lift your bum off your feet for a little bit, but try to bring it down and stretch. If it's really stretching you, maybe do it about 8 seconds and then take a break. If you're really flexible here, try leaning back even more and getting more of a stretch in there. And then make sure you release and shake it out. And then always do the opposite. So we rotated and then we switched which way we were rotating. This time we were doing this. So instead, take your fingertips, but now the back side of your hand is going to go down on the ground, and then do the same thing. And so you should feel the stretch on the back side now. Again, if this is too tight for you, lift your bum off your heels a little bit. If it's not enough of a stretch, arch your back a little bit and come back so that way you're stretching and pulling a little bit more. Let's stay here for about 8 to 10 seconds. And then shake them out. And if you're really trying to work on your finger stretches, I like to, while sitting next to the piano, or grab a chair or something where you can put your fingers on there and just gently push your fingers this way. So you should be feeling the stretch behind your fingers. It's hard to get that thumb in there, so don't worry about your thumb, get the 4 fingers. And I like to do one hand at a time, so that way I can focus on that one hand and make sure I'm not stretching it too far or too long or too much. And then shake it out and switch to the other hand. Again, make sure you're not pushing too far. Make sure you're not going too far under where you're not getting any stretch at all, and not far enough where you just feel like you're tapping it, but you should be pushing just ever so slightly so you feel a stretch behind your fingers there. Again, don't worry about the thumb. And then shake it out. Another one, if you're working on stretching for octaves or larger intervals, spreading your fingers as wide as you can is a great way to stretch them without the use of any props or equipment. But another thing you can do is take the fingers, so if we're wanting to stretch an octave, for instance, take these fingers and then stretch them out here and get it to the point of where you're feeling that stretch right here and right here. So you're pushing up against something. Usually I like to do it on the front of the piano lid, so that way I feel the stretch there. And you can switch fingers, so then you can switch to your 4th finger if you're trying to stretch out your 4th finger extension, or even go to your 3rd finger, or your second finger. And then shake it out and try the other hand. So I always start with my pinky first. Stretch pinky. And then the fourth finger. And the third finger. And the second finger. And shake it out. And I usually after that like to just wiggle my fingers and warm them up. And then of course scales, 5-finger patterns, triads, arpeggios, and a lot of work like that is great for your fingers as well. But if you're struggling with tightness in your hands or your forearms, these are some great exercises.